some deserted bed of leaves, there lies a swan about to die. And in her dreams she can see herself alive and shining brilliant in the sky. She glides and turns on the icy lake, while the silver moon whitens all the melting snow. She dreams about the cool wind that blew and the smell of pine trees that drifted down to the sapphire lake below. Briefly her wings begin to beat and stir the broken twigs around, and silently as the sunlight starts to beam, it lights the hollow in the ground. The swan remembers the golden days when she flew so high and she swam so gracefully, but now her body is soft and weak, and her feathers limp, and her head so heavy, and eyes no longer see. Somewhere else in a bed of leaves, there's a silver egg that has crumbled open. Another swan is born.
How do you start a conversation with a stranger who's just seen you cracking open your boyfriend's head with a hammer? Well, I didn't do it. Not the way it was reported. I'm sure you already know not to believe everything you read in the media. That's my perfect boy. Joe. Joe Orton. I'm Kenny. Kenneth Halliwell. But you can call me Kenny. We met when we were both young students, years ago. We pretended to be much older than we were. Wore each other's clothes. We looked incredibly similar to each other. Don't all students? In those college early years, we wrote together, fucked together, which was illegal then, trolled together, and broke a far more important law together by vandalising library books and replacing the covers of currently popular works with much more interesting sleeves and designs. For that, believe it or not, we went to prison. Different prisons. Can you imagine that? Jail for defacing library book covers. The first time in ages we were apart. Only 6 months, but it felt like hell being separated. By then, we were one soul. Our love was more than just love. Existence. God knows how we survived. When we got out of the Nick, we decided we'd be much more successful working together. We looked alike, thought alike, breathed alike. So we decided to take on different personas. He became the clever one, and I was a bit difficult, pretending to be older. In fact, Joe was only 2 years younger than me. We carefully cultivated these new images, even down to personal stuff with friends, always acting the role. Except in private, there we were. Us. I wrote all the bits in Joe's diary about myself. 3 boils indeed. 1, fine. 2, okay. 3, did they think I was Job? Some of it was truly ridiculous. The laughs we had writing this rubbish every night, you would not believe. Anyway, we got really successful as a team. Mainly under Joe's name, but still with me contributing big chunks and ideas. I hate wigs. I hate this wig. It's too hot and sweaty and far too big. People pretend to be sympathetic, but it's synthetic, prosthetic, pathetic. We won awards. Well, technically Joe did. He was better at that sort of thing. We behaved disgracefully promiscuous, taking handfuls of drugs. Not quite as many as you'll read in the diaries, though I have to admit, more than quite similar. It was getting hard to keep up with our pretense of our personas, but the odd row and explosive scene with friends and out in the clubs convinced everyone. They thought of us as the odd couple. A pair of silly queens, one of whom was hugely talented. The other, me, who was difficult, troubled, eccentric, insane. Then, last night, I came home to find this. My darling Joe had picked up a boy. Again, why not? We each did it all the time. And they had come home and had sex. Why not? We each did it all the time.
My name is Tadzio.
Taking drugs. Why not? But too many. Far too many. Far too many. And the wrong sort. Nembutal. Sleepers. Far too many. Put them both to sleep. Forever. 2 beautiful boys, not yet 30, dead. Why? I grieved for hours, sobbed my heart out. He was the love of my life, still is. Always will be. First, I decided to kill myself. Join him. But then I felt that was too terminal. So what was I to do? The only thing left was to change his darling body. I mean, we looked alike anyway. And then mutilate the other body so much that everyone would assume it was Joe and that mad Kenny had finally snapped and killed Joe. And then killed himself with an overdose. Nebutal. My first plan was that I'd become Joe. Come home, find Kenny and a boyfriend. That way, the Orton legend could continue. But I realised that wouldn't work. Nobody would fall for it. I'd be rumbled in 10 minutes. So, I bashed the poor dead boy until he was unrecognisable. Put a butterfly tattoo, like the one Joe had, on his right shoulder. Everyone knew I was planning to have an identical one done myself, so finding one on Joe wouldn't stop them thinking he was me. I stuffed Joe's passport and papers and driving licence into the boy's pockets, dressed Joe in my famous makeup, in my clothes and stupid wig, removed all the documents and identification things from the boy, shoved my passport and driving licence into Joe's pockets, wrote a fake suicide note, tore the last few pages out of the stupid diary and reckoned the police and authorities would accept it. Remember, these were the days before DNA. I knew Joe. He would have picked up the boy in some club or cottage. He'd probably not be missed for ages, if ever, and by then the bodies would have been cremated, according to our wishes. The world, and more important, the authorities would believe Ken had killed Joe and taken enough pills to achieve suicide of remorse. Kenneth Halliwell would disappear. Forever. Death isn't everything. After making sure everything fitted that scenario, I put our favourite obscure hit from a couple years earlier on repeat as my farewell, took a few vital personal bits with me, and sneaked out, unseen, to go to the only friend I could trust with this. Brian Epstein.
It's Good News Week. Someone's dropped a bomb somewhere, contaminating atmosphere and blackening the sky. It's Good News Week. Someone's found a way to give the rotting dead a will to live, go on and never die. Have you heard the news? What did it say? Who's won that race? What's the weather like today? It's Good News Week. Famines shake the need for coal by stimulating birth control. We're wanting less to eat. It's Good News Week. Doctors finding many ways of wrapping brains in metal trays to keep us from the heat. Good News Week. Someone's dropped a bomb somewhere, contaminating atmosphere and blackening the sky. It's Good News Week. Someone's found a way to give the rotting dead a will to live, go on and never die. Have you heard the news? What did it say? Who's won that race? What's the weather like today? What's the weather like today? It's Good News Week. Families check the need for coal by stimulating birth control. We're wanting less to eat. It's Good News Week. Doctors finding many ways of wrapping brains in metal trays to keep us from the heat. To keep us from the heat. To keep us from the heat.
Welcome to Groom. A brand new internet communications platform where you don't ever have to meet someone to become friends, lovers, family, without the need for personal contact. Groom, with the 3 O's, is the very latest technology. You can see, hear, contact, yet never have the annoying reality. No nasty, sticky fluids. No odours. No unmade up encounters. Let's face it, folks. Physical contact has been the bane of our society since time began. From assassination to poverty, it has caused wars, famine, misery. Now we can do without it. Welcome to Groom. We're open to all. Skin colour, religion, sexual preference, political agenda, no problemo. We're even open to every and all genders. I'm the president of Groom. You may recognise me from the telly, that wonderful, old-fashioned concept, yet not as outdated as wireless. I'm Wells, Ken Wells, and you're going to be seeing a lot of me over the next few decades. Centuries even. Stay tuned, or should I say, stay groomed.
So, why did you do it, Kenny? You can tell me, I'll understand.
No, Ryan. It's not the point. I didn't do anything. I came home and I found them both dead.
Were you very tempted to leave this world with him?
Yes. My first instinct was to end it all. We've been together the past 15 years. He died. I died.
Why did you play that silly game? I must be virtually the only person that knew the two of you as you really were. By the way, you look far better without that ghastly wig. Didn't do a thing for you. I prefer the skinhead look, far more natural.
It seemed like fun at the time. It all started in those student days. I know. It sounds like the plot from one of our worst plays. Just a giggle to begin with, but then quite useful. At least for picking guys up. Me and Joe were much more than just lovers. We were friends. I mean, lovers are fine to start with. Lust is marvellous for about 10 seconds, but friendship lasts forever. We'd both got a bit bored of that game lately. We were going to start coming out, as it were.
I know how you're feeling. This is the most dreadful tragedy, and we will miss him forever. But you need to look after yourself. That's what he would want. I've heard of an organisation that deals with these kinds of problems. They call it, in whispers, the Shadows Club. You're sure nobody saw you leaving Islington? Or come here to Chapel Street?
Certain.
This is my suggestion. We pay you £25,000 now and 1% of all Beatles royalties in perpetuity for the rights to the script for Up Against It, which is going to be enormous and will lift the band onto another level. We backdate the letter contract to a week ago, and you sign it as both you and Joe. We'll claim it was all organised and set in stone last week. We'll pay the monies regularly into a Swiss bank account, which you and I will set up in Geneva in a couple of days, using your fingerprints with your new face under the name Ken Wells. That way, you become another person and nobody knows, except for me and you. I've got a secret account over there myself. Very useful. Totally legal. Now, Go and wash. I'll get you a blonde wig. Trim your eyebrows. Wear glasses. Don't shave. You can use the guest room here. What time was my chauffeur due to pick you both up?
9 o'clock. In about 6 hours. Joe and I were meant to be meeting Dick Lester to talk about ideas for the film.
He's got even less hair than you. That's good. My chauffeur will find the bodies as you and the fake Joe. He'll call me distraught and I'll call the police. You're sure they really will believe that Joe is you? Well, fingers crossed. All hell will break out, so you just go to bed after you've changed your appearance. You know, it's all about the media these days. If something's a good enough story, they run it and exaggerate it. And it becomes fact within seconds. History repeats it. We know all about manipulating the media. We've done it for years. Anyway, go to bed. Try to sleep. I'll get you some Nimbutal. Oh no, sorry. Carbitral's better anyway, and much safer. I'll organise a new passport for Ken Wells. We'll take some photos of you and go off as soon as it's all ready. You're a lucky boy, Kenny. You'll get to attend your own funeral. And then we'll tell Dick Lester it's going to be an adaptation of Joe and your script, and that their friend Ken Wells is taking over the writing.
Oh, Brian, you are a sweetheart. I couldn't think of anyone else who would possibly do this for me. Brian, Joe and I had been friends and lovers for years. I couldn't have asked for a better, truer, more loyal mate. People forget how alike Joe and I actually looked. All the photos are from the later days, but in the earlier years, we were practically identical. Brian used to tell us Joe was better for drugs, and I was better for sex. He even gave me the key to his private backdoor entrance here at Chapel Street. You wouldn't believe the type of things that went on here. Conveniently located on a corner, only overlooked or overheard from one side, and that side of the house, those rooms were all covered with sound muffling tiles. He'd adored our screenplay for the third Beatles movie and knew how involved in writing it I'd been. We'd based half of it on a story of mine from the 50s, The Silver Bucket, and part of it of Joe's, The Visions of Gomble Provold. So, I went ahead and changed my appearance. Everything went as planned.
And this one's got a butterfly tattoo.
He's bald as a coot. That's the older pervert for sure. I hate queers.
That's Orton. He's got a butterfly tattoo.
This one's got a tattoo too. They must both have tattoos.
I can never work out why men get tattoos. It's a pansy thing, isn't it? Okay on a woman, especially a lesbo. I like a little bit of lesbo chic myself.
That's 'cause you are a lesbo, Sarge.
Welcome back to the best talent show on television. We bring you the stars of tomorrow, long before anywhere else. And now, our favourite contestants with their new song recorded especially for you. It's the Space Girls!
I fell in love with One Direction. My friends said I'd made the wrong selection. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you.
I adored a man called Clooney. Turned out to be a bit of a loony. Floated away into outer space. What a disgrace.
as long as they were ruled by a clown. It's always the same with heroes. They rapidly turn into zeros. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you. You were always going to break my heart. I'm glad that I'm over you.
I'd missed my friend Brian as much as I missed Joe. But I couldn't believe how well his plan had gone. Peggy Ramsey came to identify the bodies, and she didn't even bother to turn mine over. She knew me from the wig. Luckily, I had more than one. The screenplay never got made into a film. After all the awful press about Joe and my death and Brian gone, the band decided to scrap the project. Still, the money automatically came into my Swiss account. You would not believe how much 1% of Beatles sales are every 6 months. So I was set up for life. Time passed. I started working again with friends I'd met through Brian, all of whom thought of me as Ken Wells. But before that...
Can't believe it. I've only been here staying with you a few days, and I think I've caught the clap. Can you have a look, JK? And if I have, organize a discreet doctor? I can't believe it. She couldn't have been a day over 14. What on earth was she doing? Groupies, don't you just hate them? Hey man, what are you wearing? You look ridiculous.
It's the latest style. Everyone looks like this in 1968. Hey Jimmy, can I ask you something? You know that song you recorded, Hey Joe? Is it about anyone in particular?
No. I liked it after a friend played the Leaves version back in 1965. Was that why you wrote the new song for me?
No. I just wondered. Did you like it?
Yeah, man. It was groovy. Learned it, routined it, even sang it last week at a gig.
Ah.
It suits me perfect. Want to hear it?
Yeah?
You don't know how much I miss you, my friend Joe. The wind whispers that I'll never quite forgive you, my friend Joe. But time changes and the memory changes too. Time changes, yes it's true, yes it's true. Why did you leave me? Why did you go? My friend Joe. Will nobody believe me that I loved you so? My friend Joe. But time changes and the memory changes too. Time changes, yes it's true, yes it's true. The traffic lights turn purple and the green grass changes blue. The sun explodes in the sky above. It knows how much I miss you. You're on my mind every day, for every second, in every way. I miss you when I'm working, I miss you when I play. But time changes, and the memory changes too. Time changes, yes it's true, yes it's true. Time changes, yes it's true, yes it's true. Why do they tell me time heals the heart? My friend Joe, mine keeps on hurting every second we're apart. My friend Joe. But time changes, and the memory changes too. Time changes, yes it's true, yes it's true. But time changes, and we do, and we do, and we do too.
Coca-Cola, and I hate Pepsi too. Flavoring with chemicals and an aftertaste of glue. I hasten to say this is just my opinion. I really have no idea what's in them. But if you wanna love them, that's okay. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like what you like, that's fine. I'll allow your taste, you respect mine. I hate McDonald's and Burger King the same. The only thing I like about them is their second name. I hate terrorists who think that God exists. I hate governments locking up for suspicion, justifying their position with a different religion. I hate Jesus Christ, and I hate Allah too. I hate all organized structure that tells us what to do. You are quite entitled to believe anything you like, that's okay with me. I'll defend your right to worship anyone you choose, except if it means stepping on someone else's shoes. I hate people who go on about hating, they are so occupied with negating. It gets frustrating, like moral masturbating. I hate all branding and all grandstanding. I hate hypocrisy, it's everywhere you see. I hate all writers, so proud dictating in the name of art and music, pretending to be debating. I hate me, I hate you. Sometimes I'm so busy hating, I've got no time for drinking Coca-Cola.
That was brilliant. It's wonderful hearing someone interpret your songs so beautifully.
I could tell they mean a lot to you. Hey Joe, Coke and all in one. We must do some writing together. You never know how long we got left. I'm working on a musical version of that old story, The Happy Prince.
Oh. Now there's a great idea. Oscar Wilde. He was quite a hero. He went through hell, not because of his talent, but because of those bad old times when Victorian moral code condemned people for being themselves.
What on earth was society thinking, condemning someone because of the person they found attractive, or the madness in hating on someone because they had brown eyes rather than the acceptable blue ones? Or was it skin color? I blame religion and feminism. It was all that bollocks about 2 tits good, 2 balls bad.
You've got to have consent In the passion of the moment, you'll be solid gold. There's nothing wrong with bothering boys, as long as he's doing what he enjoys. Don't startle the horses or make too much noise, but there's nothing wrong with bothering boys. There's nothing wrong with bothering The Greeks and Spartans thought it styled, and Michelangelo was beguiled. Don't let its glory be defiled. If you share the loving, it can drive you wild. There's nothing wrong with bothering boys, as long as he's doing what he enjoys. Don't startle the horses or make too much noise, but there's nothing wrong with bothering boys. There's nothing wrong with bothering
I'm DC Pear. You can call me Apple. I was christened Andrew, but also Patrick after my mother's dad and Lawrence after my dad's dad. So APL Pear. At school they found that highly amusing, so nicknamed me Apple. It stuck.
He's such a lovely boy, my Tagio. Please, you must try find him. I've done everything, seen everyone. Nobody knows what's happened to him.
I do understand, dear. It's been so long. But I have to ask you this. Is Tadzio a homosexual?
My Tagio? Never. He liked girls, women. He was married with a young child, a fine young man. He was here on holidays looking for work, trying to make some money for his family, including me. We don't have much. We live on potatoes in Poland, you know, like the Irish.
Well, which was it? Holiday or work? We need to know. Please, make up your mind. There, look. I really will try and track him down. He's probably fine. Just having a break in our beautiful town. Lots to do here. He might have gone to a concert. The Beatles, you know. The pop group. Or the Rolling Stones. Or is it Stones? Can't keep up with all the silly names. This is the swinging 60s. I really will try and find him. I know what it's like. In this job, everything starts to merge. You get compassion fatigue. But I promise to keep looking. And I'll pass any clues on to you in Warsaw. You just leave me a phone number, and I'll call you if I find any information or even rumours.
Call me Lucy. Everybody does. My real name is Luciani. I'm a bishop and a cardinal here. More discreet to stay slightly anonymous, though. Trans is such a trendy thing these days. Boys will be boys, and girls will be girls. Priests will be priests.
You Catholics must approve of British laws. Until 2 years ago, it was still illegal to be gay. Rather, as it still is, in the Catholic religion.
Not just Catholics, all religions. Well, apart from the fringe ones, Buddhists, Moonies, Jews. Islam condemns us too, so we just get on with it and pretend it doesn't ever happen. Much better this way. Don't ask, don't tell, like the US Army. You must remember mankind's favorite morality. worship hypocrisy at all times. Now, you must have a Bellini, speciality here. Freshly squeezed peach juice, fine champagne, only the best.
But doesn't it get uncomfortable? Constantly being illegal.
Oh no, it's much better. How on earth would all those priests get away with fiddling with choir boys if we had to accept an age of consent? This way is far more convenient. And we get forgiven on a regular basis. 3 Hail Marys and a couple of genuflections. But I agree, it is odd that being gay here in Italy has been legal since 1890, yet we are the home of the Catholic Church, which calls it a sin. Queens have been coming here and having a lovely time for ages. Oscar Wilde was a regular visitor in the old days. He first came as a teenager with Reverend Mahaffey. I leave you to guess if they enjoyed themselves. Food. Try the croque monsieur. Ham and cheese toasted. Another invention of Harry's bar. And told, though I may be wrong, long before the French pretended to invent it. One of Oscar's favorites, I gather.
It seems dreadfully corrupt.
What, the croque monsieur? Of course. The longer something is in existence, the more corrupt it gets. The law, totally corrupt. The police, globally, riddled with bent cops. Government, even more corrupt. Everywhere. Bent dictators, bent communism, bent royalty. But the church? All churches? Darling, they are as bent as a million living out. Soon they won't be livers anymore. Plus ça change, chérie. Plus ça change.
So, we're better off going with the flow then?
Indeed we should. Forget the croque monsieur, that was my 5th Bellini. Invented here in 1948 by Cipriani himself to celebrate the great painter. Let me show you around my official patriarchal palace. We will enter through my private personal doorway of a passing tiny canal going with the flow, and then we'll fuck like rabbits.
Remember when we were growing up, Ken? Sandy Shore, Rusty Springboard, Mary Hopkin. Those were the days. Lovely long blonde hair, bulges in all the right places. Total top shelf stuff.
I like those ideas. Like top shelves. I suppose it's to keep children away from saucy snaps. Not really fair on dwarves and midgets, though. I'm sure younger people will find a way to bypass censorship in a few years, no doubt.
Just a passing phase. Like TV talent shows.
No, I love TV talent shows, although there will never be another Carol Levis. All those discoveries.
Unless you count Huey Green. I love the most sincere person in media ever having. I meant that most sincerely as his catchphrase.
Yes, and Dick Clark, America's oldest teenager. And Lawrence Welk, and Beat Club in Germany, and Kevin Dennis, and Frank Wilson in Australia. I suppose they've probably been around forever, and they always will be. Like elderly entrepreneurs.
Did they ever find real talent, or were they just good imitations? I mean, would I ever have had a hit if I hadn't been on Opportunity Knocks?
No. I think the answer is that we aren't meant to like new and different performers. We're programmed to like what's already around us. We, the media, tell them what to like. They, the gullible, do as they're told. We, the media, we run the world. They, the gullible, they do as they're told. They buy what they're told to buy, like what they're told to like, fear what they're told to fear.
I'm not sure about this fame thing anyway. I hate all this adulation, hero worship. Makes me feel like I've gone mad. I mean, even my best friends have started to behave as though I am someone else. They fall for the image. And worst of all, so have I. I don't like it. I'm beginning to think I am Jimi Hendrix.
I know what you mean. It's almost like there should be a celestial talent show in heaven for all pop stars to take voters instead of ye old, ordinary punters.
It was a hot July day in heaven, and the sky was blue below. All the citizens of paradise were attending the celestial millennium talent show. Last time they had witnessed a real surprise when the architect of Petra had won instead of the favourite, the Egyptian sculptor Thutmose, for his bust of Nefertiti's head. Chaucer was there for the Canterbury Tales with the creator of Sydney's Opera House Sales. King Lear was a contender, as was Bleak House and the man who designed the computer Matt Mouse. Aristotle got there late, he had trouble parking and sat down between Lowry and Philip Larkin. Picasso spoke to Rubens, Sophocles with his mum, but Dr. Viagra sadly couldn't come. A hush fell and God announced the two finalists, The Death of the Virgin by Caravaggio and The Statue of David by Michelangelo. There was the expected uproar and the odd supportive cheer. Jean Genet walked out pale, shaken and feeling a little queer. Rachmaninoff hissed to Beethoven, the judges must be deaf or dead, and Beethoven was heard to reply, "What was that you said?" Several felt they should have chosen Eero's Gateway Arch, and the stuffed church favoured the man who'd invented starch. The Scots championed TV and John Logie dared, whilst others whispered softly, "Thank God we were spared." The Orientals considered Hokusai's Great Wave very good, but Van Gogh felt a chair was the better use of wood. The statue of David won, of course, by a mile, though Da Vinci felt he deserved it for that smile. When Caravaggio met Michelangelo at the Celestial Millennium Talent Show. When Caravaggio met Michelangelo at the Celestial Millennium Talent Show. When Caravaggio met Michelangelo at the Celestial Millennium Talent Show. When Caravaggio met Michelangelo at the Celestial Millennium Talent Show. When Caravaggio met Michelangelo at the Celestial Millennium Talent Show. When Caravaggio met Michelangelo at the Celestial Millennium Talent Show. When Caravaggio met Michelangelo at the
Come to Geneva to check on my money. Beatles royalties had began to pile up on a regular basis, now amounting to the equivalent of today of millions. However much I spent, I always seemed to have much more available. The bank was in a discreet, elegant location, in a house by the lake. I've been there a couple times before, but this time I was presented with a sealed envelope, marked private. Please only open when on your own. So, I went off to a small local cafe, sipped a Swiss hot chocolate, and, when relaxed, checked I was entirely on my own, and slit open the epistle. A typed sheet simply said to tell no one, but arrive at a private villa address given at a specific time. I arrived. A handsome, young Swiss man let me in. I sat down, waited about 10 minutes, but I was utterly unprepared by what then happened. Brian, it can't be.
I wondered how long it would take you. They call it plastic surgery. A nip here, a tuck there, and voila. I'm no longer Brian Epstein, Scouse manager of bands, but Brian Samuel, wealthy young businessman, retired and living here in Geneva. I'm sorry if it was a shock. I couldn't tell anyone. Every single person had to believe I was dead. I'd organised my finances cleverly. It was your situation that inspired me. When I decided to get out of the rat race, I thought of how you and I dealt with it and planned it accordingly. But not a single soul knew. I've since made a few tentative contacts, but only with people I knew I could trust. Even my family think I'm deceased.
But why? I mean, everything was going so well for you.
Well, it may have looked that way on the surface, but the spotlight that comes with fame was getting hotter, and the social world was strange. That law making it okay to be gay was great in principle, but it worried me in practice, and I was quite right. Great Britain wasn't the place I wanted to live in, and Brian Epstein wasn't the person I wanted to be. Just as you did, I decided to change. I couldn't believe all the coverage of Joe's death. Cold-blooded murder, they called it. What's cold-blooded about murder? Until afterwards, of course. Anyway, I thought of founding a company here in Switzerland for people who were officially dead but wanted to live their lives with dignity. I could call it Dignitas. It's becoming a very popular decision. Anyway, I need you to help me.
Groom is the very latest communication tool, and I mean that most sincerely, folks. However, we ask you to observe the law. Nothing too blatant, please, and be subtle. And not wishing to censor your content in any way, we remind you that upon signature of your contract, you are responsible for it and absolve us of all and any consequences. Consequences. They can be wonderful. You want true love, right? Well, you get it here and much, much more, without the unpleasant, nasty ramifications caused by personal contact. Those of you who are old enough may remember the ghastly elements of body odor, garlic breath, unclean foreskins, vaginal smells. No, none of that. Just pure, healthy love. When you join Groom with the 3 O's, paradise awaits.
I'm sure I've seen you before.
Everyone says that. Oh, one of my granddad, Brian Jones, he was one of the Stones.
Oh, I love the Stones. Brilliant songs. I can't get no satisfaction. You can say that again. Is he still performing?
No, he died when I was quite young. Don't even remember my dad, let alone him. It's not easy being the offspring of someone famous. No one ever sees you for who you are. No one sees you for your relations.
Growing up, growing up, growing up, just growing up. Well, I stood stone like at midnight, suspended in my masquerade, and I combed my hair till it was just right, and commanded the night brigade. I was open to pain and crossed by the rain, and I walked on a crooked crutch. I strolled all alone through a fallout zone and came out with my soul untouched. And I hid in the crowded wrath of the crowd, and when they said sit down, I stood up. Of piracy, it flew from my mast, and my sails were set wing to wing. I had a jukebox graduate for first mate. She couldn't sail, but she sure could sing. And I pushed B-52 and I bombed them with the blues, with my gear set stubborn on standing. I broke all the rules straight from my old high school, never once gave thought to landing. And I hid in the cloud and walked through the crowd, and when they said come down, I threw up. I took month-long vacations in the stratosphere. You know it's really hard to hold your breath. Swear I lost everything I ever loved or feared. I was the cosmic kid in full costume dress. Well, my feet, they finally took root in the earth. I got me a nice little place in the stars. Yeah, and I swear I found the key to the universe in the engine of an old parked car. And I hid in the mother breast of the crowd, and when they said pull down, I pulled up.
Not sure about that jacket, Kenny.
It's become a bit of a trademark. I'm never out of silly costumes these days. Anyway, who are you to talk?
It's baggism, Ken. No one's ever going to see my face again. I'm almost totally hidden from the world. This is much nicer than that awful Knoll Street place, Ken.
Yeah, I've forgotten you'd visitors there, John. They never did make that film, did they? Any idea why not?
After Brian died, we got into a whole different place, Ken. Got involved in that cartoon, Yellow Submarine. Split up. I left Cynthia and shacked up with Yoko. Everything changed, even though Brian hadn't really died at all. It's amazing how much impact the people behind the scenes have. So what's been going on with you?
Yeah, I'm well. You still living in New York these days?
Well, yeah, Great Britain's not so great anymore. There's a nasty streak in the British character. London isn't safe. Much safer in Manhattan. Lovely place to hide. Fewer loonies.
Well, I've actually been doing stuff for Brian. I've been helping out that American chap, Jim Morrison. He decided to move on when he was in Paris, and I have to say it was an absolute hell transferring him. You know, the Doors. Come on, baby, light my fire.
Not after all these years, if you don't mind, Ken.
Then there was that strange lucky guy. I wasn't happy, if I'm honest. Particularly as most people thought I had killed Joe. Helping someone who had actually killed someone. But, you know, Brian wanted a favour and he'd done so much for me.
And now I suppose you're organising Elvis?
No, John, he really is dead. You mustn't believe the conspiracy theorists. Mind you, I have to say, that was a bit of a shock. But it's all off hamburgers for life.
Well, I'm fine and very happy at the moment, but put your thinking cap on just in case. If I decide I better move on, I know who to contact.
Absolutely, John. I'm here always for emergencies. So, how you doing? Are you enjoying being a runner?
It's groovy, Mr. Wells. Seriously, thank you for getting me this gig. It's going to help pay to finish the uni course.
No problem, Pat. I owe it to your dad, actually. He was a good friend of mine. But tell me, why does the younger generation these days feel so terrified of getting involved in anything with death? No real friends, just cliques online. No deep conversations, just talk to an electronic buzz, superglued to one's ear. I mean, everything's so superficial. Do kids ever crave real love and real friendships? Or are you just content to follow the tabloid headliner route of slogans, 3-word headlines and catchy phrases?
Fuck off, Ken.
Language. I'll sack you next time. Oh, I'm loving it.
I'm going to be 100 in a couple of years' time. I was born in 1925, nearly 100 years ago. I'm really looking forward to my telegram from the Queen, if she lives that long. Honoured. Care home residents are looked after so well in the winter of our lives. Beer, cigarettes and hot buttered toast. These are my secrets. Long and happy life. Will that do? Hold it in archive and you can use it on the 100th if I'm still around. The truth? You sure, darling? Well, if you're sure. Not that you'd ever use it. Television has an agenda, and so does society. Society marches to the agenda that social media sets. The truth is that we care home residents are treated appallingly. Nobody cares whether or not we live or die. We're clumped down in front of the TV no matter what rubbish is on. Fed crap food. And the smell of old boiled cabbage. And fresh feces in every corridor. Horrid little rooms. Cramped beds. And sometimes hit if we annoy the carers. But the worst thing is the stupidity. A few years ago there was a panic. A trivial virus, affecting only the vulnerable and the elderly, swept the globe. Oh, I say, swept. A few old people died in Wuhan. And then the media, sensing a great story, put it out there. It's an epidemic. No, it wasn't. It was a panic-demic. A great story. And a few viewers and readers believed it. Social media picked up on it. And politicians around the world overreacted. So what was the truth? The truth was that lots of us old people, almost dead, died. As we would have done if we'd caught colds and flu. Lots of fat people carrying lard on their lungs. Vulnerable people with respiratory diseases. We all croaked in care homes, in hospitals, in hospices, in end-of-life museums like this one. But the hilarious part was believing the media hype and ignoring the exaggeration. Governments clamped down and millions of people died from other diseases, committed suicide, failed to treat cancer, had heart attacks, and were buried or cremated with COVID written on their death certificates. Do you believe me? It took mere weeks to find vaccines. Like adapting the flu vaccines. Dead easy. Oh, dead. Oh, excuse me. Everything changes, doesn't it? I remember when the best place in the world was the West End of London. Sleazy, sordid, wonderful. Full of brothels, as well as theatres and coffee houses.
I saw you walking down the street. Your hair was hanging to your knees. Your waist was waving like a ship. The way you looked made me sick. I wished a glance you gave a smile. I couldn't breathe, felt really high. Some other man was standing round. He looked at me and made me proud. I asked you, baby, what's the time? You looked right deep into my eyes. It made me brave and soon you smiled. Said, what you gonna do tonight? I'm in the mood of going out. You held my hand and then we went to different places till I said, come on and let us go to bed. It made me sing a loop-de-loo. It made me sing a loop-de-love. Satisfied. Another one's waiting outside. You made me singing loop-de-loo. You made me singing loop-de-love. Love-de-loop-de-loop-de-love. Love-de-loop-de-loop-de-love. While singing loop-de-loop-de-love.
But not everything is as it appears to be. I was John Wayne Gacy in an earlier life. Only changed in 1994. Now there's a story I could tell you.
The years have gone by, but I'm still hoping the detective in London will find out what happened to my Tagio. They say grief fades with age. It doesn't. It just changes. Every day, I remember him how he used to be. Young, hopeful, excited, ambitious, looking to the future.
My name is Tatsuya.
We've had a tip-off. You know what they say in Fleet Street? Never pay any attention to a tip-off, but paying money for a tip-off, it could make you million. Anyway, this came from the News of the World. Reliable as shit, you know what they say. Been here forever, will outlive all of us. Peddles lies as truth, but sells millions of copies. Anyway, this comes from a very reliable source. Was butler to that dead Beatles manager, you remember Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, the tip is Kenny Wells. Watch out for him.
In what way? Who is he? How connected? I've never heard of him. What's he got to do with you?
No idea. That's the point of a tip-off. Tells you nothing, but sounds interesting. Anyway, thought I'd pass it on. Don't you just love the media? So many wonderful ways to be wicked.
But you don't know one little thing about love. Hey, you know so many ways to be wicked. But you don't know one little thing about love. Hey, why do you always smile when you see me hurt so bad? Tell me what I did to you, baby, that would make you act like that. Well, I've been your fool before, honey, and I probably will again. You ain't afraid to let me have it. No, you ain't afraid to stick it in, stick it in, stick it in. Hey, you know so many ways to be wicked, but you don't know one little thing about love. Well, I can take a little pain, yeah, I can hold it pretty well. I can watch your little eyes light up while you are walking through hell. Well, I've been your fool before, honey, and I probably will again. You ain't afraid to let me have it. Oh no, you ain't afraid to stick it in, stick it in, stick it in. Hey, you know so many ways to be wicked, but you don't know one little thing about love. Well, you close your eyes, you make love with a smile, but baby, you take pride in the devil there inside.
John Lennon was a friend of mine, and in 1965 we did sort of have sex together. We met up in a club, I think it was the Speakeasy or the Scotch of St James or the Cromwellian, and there were a couple of rather attractive young Scandinavian girls there, and John was on his own, so he said to me, hey. And we went and talked to them, and they seemed very nice, and John said, let's take them home. I was a bit difficult about this because his wife Cynthia was a good friend, but we did end up going back to my flat in St Andrews Mansions. It turned out the two girls were far more interested in each other than in us. So John and I basically, over about 2 minutes, satisfied each other, and then went next door and talked about music for the whole time, which we did most of the time, and the incident was never mentioned again until this moment. I'm still very fond and have nothing but great memories of John Lennon.
Well, you close your eyes, you make love with a smile, but baby, you take pride in the devil there inside. Well, I can take a little pain, and I can hold it pretty well. I can watch your pinky eyes light up while you are walking through hell. Well, I've been your fool before, honey, yeah, and I probably will again. You ain't afraid to let me have it. No, no, ain't afraid to stick it in, stick it in, stick it in. Hey, you know so many ways to be wicked, but you don't know one little
about love. Well, you know so many ways to be wicked, but you don't know one little thing about love. Well, you know so many ways to be wicked, but you don't.
Your program.
Well, Jimmy and Brian are doing fine too, thanks to you. Ken Wells, may I introduce James Marshall and Elmo Lewis.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you, darling. Hello. Looking gorgeous.
We've got quite a lot of guest rooms now, but both have created their own new personas. Just a few of us know about this. I think you know my friend John.
Hi, Ken. Good to see you, man. Don't worry, I'm still very much alive. Only the hat and the mask have changed to protect the innocent. Baggism has really caught on. Soon everyone will be wearing masks, if not full body armour. It's the latest thing. I'm just here for a visit, like. Nobody else knows about this. But it makes a lot of sense. I've written a song about it. I'm calling it Number 10 Dream.
In my life I've lost some lovers from my family and friends. In the way that life goes past you, you can think it never ends. But a joy replaces sadness if you find a friend still there. When you know it's not all over and you see how much you care. I had a dream asleep in my bed. An angel took my hand, I was led. The message she said, the voice in my head. It pays to be dead, it pays to be dead. When you've reached the top of the ladder, you look down and see the drop. It's a hell of a way to fall there, and it seems a time to stop. So you think you'll pull the plug out just before the level dips. It is wise to take precautions just before you cash in your chips. I had a dream asleep in my bed. An angel took my hand, I was led. The message she said, the voice in my head. It pays to be dead, it pays to be dead. If you imagine all the worries and the cares you leave behind, all the bad vibes and attention of the most intrusive kind, all the spite and sneers and hatred that you love to live without, you can send it all to Satan. Wave goodbye to fear and doubt. I had a dream asleep in my bed. An angel took my hand, I was led. The message she said, the voice in my head. It pays to be dead, it pays to be dead. I had a dream asleep in my bed. An angel took my hand, I was led. The message she said, the voice in my head. It pays to be dead, it pays to be dead. I had a dream asleep in my bed. An angel took my hand, I was led. The message she said, the voice in my head. It pays to be dead, it pays to be dead.
That's great, John. You're writing better than you ever did.
Yeah, but times are changing. Since Bobby Dylan started that talking thing, people are beginning to speak instead of singing. The message she said, the voice in my head, it pays to be dead. Scouse rap, gangster, cross the Mersey.
Right, Ken. No rapping. Stay silent. Call me if you need anything. Oh, and we'll be in contact if that's okay, if we need some more help over there in London.
Do you love me? Or are you just extending goodwill? Do you need me half as bad as you say? Or are you just feeling ill? I've been burned before and I know the score, so you won't hear me complain. Will I be able to count on you, or is your love in vain? Are you so fast that you cannot see that I must have solitude? When I am in the darkness, why do you intrude? Do you know my world? Do you know my kind? Or must I explain? Will you let me be myself, or is your love in vain? Well, I've been to the mountain and I've been in the wind. I've been in and out of happiness. I have lain with chains, I've been offered wings, and I've never been too impressed. Alright, I'll take a chance. I will fall in love with you. If I'm a fool, you can have a night, you can have a morning too. And you cook and sew, make flowers grow. Do you understand my pain? Are you willing to risk it all, or is your love in vain?
Oh, hi, Lucy. How you doing? No, a fully fledged cardinal? Congratulations. I'm so pleased for you. Scarlet really suits you, my dear. Yes, I'll be coming over to Venice soon, and I definitely want to stay and visit a cardinal. Wait, that's way more superior to a bishop and a patriarch, right?
It is. I really cannot understand how I keep getting promoted. I've started being very discreet and hardly ever speak. I smile a lot, which seems to be all that is needed. A grin goes a long way, especially when you cannot understand a word the person speaking to you is saying.
You know, I really miss Italy. I haven't been there for ages. But I promise to come soon, as the actress said to the cardinal. You can imagine how strange that was. Lucy getting elected Pope. Quite shattered my faith in God. Lucy had said many times he didn't want to be Pope. Who knows? I'd long since realised that nothing was what it appeared to be. Never believe the media.
Look at him, he's a vile pervert, ogling boys and lifting his shirt, looking at girls and rolling in dirt. Ooh, he's a vile pervert, look at him, he's a vile pervert, don't be fooled by his winning smile, get your shoes on, run a mile, he's a pervert and he's vile. It doesn't matter what he's doing, when he's thinking something sick, he will look at someone innocent and destroy them with his pick. He will poison every flower with the filth of his condition, and will always select kinky over missionary position. Look at him, he's a vile pervert, ogling boys and lifting his shirt, looking at girls and rolling in dirt. Ooh, he's a vile pervert, look at him, he's a vile pervert, don't be fooled by his winning smile, get your shoes on, run a mile, he's a pervert and he's vile. He'll look sweet and charming, open-minded, fresh and cute, but the depth of his depravity is far beyond dispute. Just because he's good and decent, see behind it, don't be fooled. He is grooming, sex is looming, from the second at your school. Look at him, he's a vile pervert, ogling boys and lifting his shirt, looking at girls and rolling in dirt. Ooh, he's a vile pervert, look at him, he's a vile pervert, don't be fooled by his winning smile, get your shoes on, run a mile, he's a pervert and he's vile. Look at him, he's a vile pervert, ogling boys and lifting his shirt, looking at girls and rolling in dirt. Ooh, he's a vile pervert, look at him, he's a vile pervert, don't be fooled by his winning smile, get your shoes on, run a mile, he's a pervert and he's vile. Look at him, he's a vile pervert, ogling boys and lifting his shirt, looking at girls and rolling in dirt. Ooh, he's a vile pervert, look at him.
It's quite a shock, Lucy being elected Pope, but even more of a shock when he died, suddenly a month later. Of course, I assumed it was part of Brian's organisation, but unfortunately, it wasn't. However, Brian told me some fascinating stuff.
I'd met Martin Luther King at a Beatles concert. He spoke of how frightened he was of being assassinated. Plus, he felt he could do more good in a different persona. So, he was one of the first clients. He said at the time that one day soon, the President of the United States would be black.
You're joking. There were slaves only a few years ago. Couldn't use the white man's toilet in charming, alarming the Deep South. Apartheid. Lockdown for sneezers. Me too. Oh, it's all gone bonkers.
I know, but that was his dream. And you never know, stranger things have happened. Society will always need a scapegoat, whether it be skin colour or sexual orientation like gays, or religious beliefs like Jews or Muslims. Soon it will be lawyers or bankers or politicians. Martin was a doctor of theology. So when he died, he went into medicine proper, looking for a way to extend life. Did you know that only a few years ago life expectancy was 40 in many countries? Now it's more like 80 in most of the world and looks like going well into the hundreds. Permanent life. Glorious. Of course, a lot of people find their faculties diminish with age, but many more benefit from the life experience. My fine doctor thinks he can get me to 400, feeling and looking 40.
Yes, it definitely gets more satisfying as you get older. I'm enjoying writing and organising and nurturing new talent for the TV show. They've even asked me to go on screen myself. introducing it, but I've managed to avoid it so far.
Oh, you should do it. You're a TV natural. And you certainly got an eye for picking up talent, even more than I had. Well, at least neither of us are bored. You entertaining the nation, and me fixing new identities for dead people. I see dead people, and I know they're not dead. Here's to us.
Oh.
Cheers.
Hazard a guess, 1963?
Well done. It's all down to knowledge of and manipulation of the media, isn't it? Simplify complex problems, invent slogans and catchphrases, create catchy headlines, and you can't go wrong. Of course, with these computer things, media will change. We'll get society joining in. Always those with the smallest brains have the loudest voices. They'll praise it as giving a voice to the voiceless. Of course, in reality, we'll be giving words to the brain dead. Still, we'll sort it out. We'll easily manipulate them too.
I've seen it on your face. Tells me more than any worn out old phrase. So now we'll go separate ways. Never again, we two. Never again, nothing I can do. Like an image passing by, my love, my life, in the mirror of your eyes. My love, my life, I can see it all so clearly. Answer me sincerely. Was it a dream, a lie, like reflections of your mind? My love, my life, are the words you try to find. My love, my life, but I know I don't possess you. So go away, God bless you. You are still my love, and my life, still my one and only. I watched you look away. Tell me, is it really so hard to say? Oh, this has been my longest day. Sitting here close to you, knowing that maybe tonight we're through. Like an image passing by, my love, my life, in the mirror of your eyes. My love, my life, I can see it all so clearly. Answer me sincerely. Was it a dream, a lie, like reflections of your mind? My love, my life, are the words you try to find. My love, my life, but I know I don't possess you. So go away, God bless you. You are still my love and my life. Yes, I know I don't possess you. So go away, God bless you. You are still my love and my life, still my one and only.
So, how's everyone coping over here?
Not too bad. They miss their families and friends. The worst part is the children. Many are now teenagers. The breeders amongst us. Not me, I'm glad to say.
Nor me.
Well, initially they were quite happy doing without babies screaming all night long and then becoming monsters. Most of them had gone right off their ghastly wives, and they were fed up of groupies. But now several of the kids are grown up. They are missed.
The time will come when gays will marry and, dare I say it, have children.
Ghastly thought. Anyway, this doctor over here has found a new way of prolonging life. It renews all the cells and organs. Doesn't mean you'll live forever, but it increases the cycle by 3 or 4 times, so as you can go on until 200 or 300 years old, yet look, feel, and think like a 50-year-old. You must meet him.
Incredible. Sounds a bit like that old film. What do you call it now? Oh yes, The Fly.
No, don't worry. No danger of turning into Jeff Goldblum.
Shame.
I'm not looking too bad though, am I?
Yeah, it's not too bad. You know, a few tucks here and there, you know.
Worth you getting together. We're all checking out the possibilities.
I have been looking into this for decades. Nothing is finished, still experimental, but very interesting. All based on DNA. No, it's brand new. Let me explain. We take the building blocks of DNA and manipulate them in a certain way in a nanobox.
Strange. Over the years, I've tried to do good. I've raised millions for charity. This application and my TV shows have even taken over electing and choosing governments. Millions have been taken out of poverty. Billions have been spent improving health. Heck, I've even assisted reversing climate change. Well, for a few days anyway. I've removed plastic from the oceans. I've even destroyed the false allegations industry. Yet I feel strangely unsatisfied. I wonder why.
Hi, Anya. Yeah, it's Officer Pear. I promised I'd call. I'm in Eastbourne. Not yeast. East. I'm retired now. Not tyres like on cars. Retired. Left the police. Yeah. So I'm afraid I won't be able to help you anymore. But I promised I'd phone you. No. Not alone. Phone. I've been looking around for years. Nothing definite, but I've heard of a person of interest. Yeah, a possible person of interest. Yeah. Nothing firm, just someone whose name keeps cropping up. TV host. TV. Television. No, not a transvestite. Look, I've got to go. Bye, love. Bloody foreigners. Miserable here. Never stops raining. Never see the sun.
This world's becoming a gay one. I used to think it a grey one, but I discovered it's A1 just now. It's taken on a new meaning. It's very nice to be seen in. There's been a little spring cleaning somehow. Who's been polishing the sun, rubbing out the clouds of grey? They must have known just how I like it. Everything's coming my way. Who's been teaching all the birds how to sing a roundelay? They must have known just how I like coming my way. Yesterday everything looked anyhow. Then I met someone and look at it now. Who's been polishing the sun, rounding out the clouds of grey? They must have known just how I like it. Everything's coming my way. Tell me who's been polishing the sun, sweeping all the stormy clouds away. They must have known just how I like it. Every little thing's gonna be okay. Tell me who's been teaching all the birds how to sing a merry roundelay. They must have known just how I like it. Everything's coming my way. Yesterday everything looked anyhow. Then I fell in love with the sweetest little girl, and look at me now. Why don't you tell me who's been polishing the sun, sweeping the clouds away? They must have known just how I like it. Oh, oh, come on, let's go. Yum, bum, 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 la, la, lee, pom, pom. They must have known just how I like it. Bye, bum, bum, pom, la, la, lee, pom, pom. They must have known just how I like it. Everything's coming my way. Yesterday everything looked anyhow. Then I fell in love with the sweetest little girl, and look at me now. Who's been polishing the sun? They must have known just how I like it. Everything's coming my way.
A sad old life of celebrity, hysteria and drugs, replaced by a quiet new life of family peace with children and the occasional burst in the shower of Back in Black to remind her of her distant past life and heritage. Marilyn Monroe, at her most vivacious, became Margaret Thatcher, and a movie idol becomes a lesser-known politician in a very different country with her own very relaxed, peaceful family. A change of gender, nationality and organ turned a difficult female superstar into another contented family man with children, quietly entertaining small crowds in tiny piano bars.
Turn me loose from your hands, let me fly to distant lands, over green fields, trees and mountains, flowers and forest fountains, home along the lanes of the skyway. For this dark and lonely room projects a shadow, oh, cast in gloom, and my eyes are mirrors of that world outside, thinking of the way that the wind can turn the tide, and these shadows turn from purple into grey. For just a skyline pigeon dreaming of the open, waiting for the day he can spread his wings and fly away again. Fly away, skyline pigeon, fly towards the dreams you've left so very far behind. Fly away, skyline pigeon, fly towards the dreams you've left so very far behind. Just let me wake up in the morning to the smell of new mown hay, to laugh and cry, live and die in the brightness of my day. I want to hear the pealing bells of distant churches sing, but most of all, please free me from this aching metal ring and open up this cage towards the sky. For just a skyline pigeon dreaming of the open, waiting for the day he can spread his wings and fly away again. Fly away, skyline pigeon, fly towards the dreams you left so very far behind. Fly away, skyline pigeon, fly towards the dreams you left so very
a lovely new song from our favourite contestants. And I do mean that most sincerely, folks, with their special message to great and past Irish. Here are the Space Girls with their tribute to great leaders!
President Kennedy licked my clit, and you know I have to admit I really rather enjoyed it.
Comrade Stalin called me darling, and not wishing to appear alarming, I thought him rather charming.
Ayatollah Khomeini came on me in Paris when he was younger, and to be honest, it appeased my hunger.
Osama bin Laden got a huge hard-on, like many Muslims do. Wasn't gonna wait for all them virgins to start emerging 2 by 2. Prime Minister Edward Heath fucked my son. He was extremely partial to the sight of a sailor's bum.
My man blue President Charles de Gaulle, he wasn't shy at all, at all. All of these leaders are bottom feeders. One tough guy in times of stress used to come all over my dress, made one hell of a White House mess, but didn't cause me any distress. There's something about these leaders of men, they choose to do it again and again. Must be something in the water to make them do what they shouldn't order.
President Kennedy licked my clit, and you know I have to admit I really rather enjoyed it. Comrade Stalin called me darling, and not wishing to appear alarming, I thought him rather charming. Ayatollah Khomeini came on me in Paris when he was younger, and to be honest, it appeased my hunger. Osama bin Laden got a huge hard-on, like many Muslims do. Wasn't gonna wait for all them virgins to start emerging 2 by 2. Prime Minister Edward Heath fucked my son. He was extremely partial to the sight of a sailor's bum. My man blue President Charles de Gaulle, he wasn't shy at all, at all. All of these leaders are bottom feeders. One tough guy in times of stress used to come all over my dress, made one hell of a White House mess, but didn't cause me any distress. There's something about these leaders of men, they choose to do it again and again. Must be something in the water to make them do what they shouldn't order. There's something about these leaders of men, they choose to do it again and again. Must be something in the water to make them do what they shouldn't order. There's something about these leaders of men, just to do it again and again. Must be something in the water to make them do what they shouldn't order. There's something about these leaders of men, they choose to do it again and again. Must be something in the water to make them do what they shouldn't order.
Wonderful, romantic notes. Gently ballad by our sweet Space Girls. Give them another hand, folks. Come on now. Yeah, come on. You know it. Ho-ho! As you know, it was decided some years ago to abandon national elections, combining small countries and their governments, and electing our Orwellian leaders of both Europa and Americana by public vote. By the mighty blogosphere, podcasts, vidcasts, and social networks. On this very program, we explained that only the finest and most honest leaders would be selected to govern in each territory. And down under via our Australasian subsidiary for a maximum period of 8 years. how those leaders must be 70 years or older, with no greed or ambition to poison their motives. But they must pledge hand in hand, unselfishly, with us and other media outlets, to govern and control all budgets and laws. They would have absolute power for their term of leadership. We call this benign autocracy. So, all that's for me now to do is to reveal our presidents for the next years. Ladies and gentlemen, our president for Europa is, drumroll please, John Winston! Round of applause! John Winston! Awesome. And have we any American fellows in the audience? Well, our president for Americana will be... Any guesses? James Douglas!
Just when you think it's all over, that's when I'm starting again, grabbing life by the shoulder, taking my starter for 10. This is the moral of the story. Don't live looking for glory. See how the world can be greater. Don't just go blaming the maker. You haven't seen the last of me. You haven't seen the last of me. I found first time around I never really got off the ground. Love instead of fear, I'm still here. I gave it all up as I didn't enjoy it. Decided to leave the rat race. Money and drugs and fame, I quit. Looked in the mirror, hating my face. Now after a life of anonymous peace, I see that what felt like a blessed release. I'd wasted my breath, abandoned my soul. Saving the world seemed a far better goal. You haven't seen the last of me. You haven't seen the last of me. I'd found first time around I never really got off the ground. Love instead of fear, I'm still here.
It's time to move to positive ways. Say goodbye to the negative war-filled days. You haven't seen the last of us. 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 You haven't seen the last of us.
And I haven't finished yet.
Well, there you go. You've seen and heard our short tale about the present, past, and future. So now we leave you with a number one, way back 50 years ago, introduced by one of our early villains and still regarded as the devil himself, with lots of love and thank you for coming, as the actress said to the cardinal, bishop or pope. But please remember, you select your own icons. And you make your own choices. Goodbye.
That's for my son! You bastard!
Now then, this next young man we're going to play, ladies and gentlemen, he's gone out and he's bought himself a new cardigan and a new jersey and a new pair of trousers, and I've just stick some sticky tape on his trousers, but he doesn't know this, so I'm going to play his record just now. Very proud we are of the one and only Mr. Jonathan King.
Streets full of people, all alone. Roads full of houses, never home. Church full of singing, out of tune. Everyone's gone to the moon. Eyes full of sorrow, never wet. Hands full of money, all in debt. Sun coming out in the middle of June. Everyone's gone to the moon. Long time ago, life had begun. Everyone went to the sun. Hearts full of motors, painted green. Mouths full of chocolate, covered cream. Arms that can only lift a spoon. Everyone's gone to the moon. Everyone's gone to the moon. Everyone's gone to the moon.